Do you love near-death experience stories? You know, the ones where the people go to the other side and they see their loved ones and they feel all the oneness. Ah, yes. And then they come back to a devastated body, one that has to recover from some terrible illness or maybe being hit by a truck. Well, what if you could have that same journey beyond the veil without having to physically die? Well, in this episode, I'm going to be sharing about my own out of body experiences. Yes, I've actually had many, many out of body experiences, or you might call them astral projections, several of them, where I have actually traveled through the states of the different stages of crossing over from releasing my body, actually, yeah, the death part, to being an earthbound just after dying, before I moved into the light, and to moving to the realms beyond, back to that oneness. So that's what we're talking about today. Carson Dougherty joins me as we talk about what happens after death and how these experiences dissolve the fear of dying and what they reveal about the soul's true continuity, the existential reality of your living and your journey. Plus, I'm going to do an energy forecast for this week, which happens to be the week of Halloween, the week of All Souls Day. So this is today's Charmed Life podcast. Hello and welcome to the Charmed Life podcast. This podcast is all about magic, metaphysics, mysticism, and the unconditional love of the universe. And I am your host. My name is Tricia Carr. Welcome to this episode. I love this time of year. This is October, 29th, 2025, when this live podcast is going out. And we're talking about all the things that have to do with living and the eternal living, the life after life. Now, I have Carson here with me. So come on in, Carson. Say hi to everyone.
Hi, this is also one of my favorite times of year.
You look amazing. I love if you guys come live, you'll get to see Carson in all of her cute outfits. Speaking of that, we're actually commuting the live broadcast of this podcast to a little sacred space. So we're going to be doing this exact same broadcast, the same format, broadcast is what I meant to say. We're going to be doing it instead of live on YouTube and Facebook and all of that. We're just going to move it to a private container. It's going to function very much the same. You can come and comment. All you need to do is join the mailing list, and then that way you'll have access to it. Then we're going to be publishing the videos after that live broadcast. So the great thing about this is, yes, it is absolutely free, and you'll get all kinds of other special behind the scenes stuff. So what you want to do is check the description, and there's many different ways. There's like a free animal intuitive course. You get a freebie with it, and then that'll sign you up for the newsletter. Or you could get the higher self meditation that's also in the description. Anything down there that says free, however, or whenever you're listening to this, then that's going to sign you up for the mailing list, which of course you could unsubscribe at any time. And then you'll get to come to our little behind the scenes live broadcast of the Charmed Life podcast, or subscribe and click the bell so that you can get all of the videos that we post. So Carson, we are in Halloween week, and I love talking about all things to do with eternal life. So what we're talking about today is, like I said, near-death experiences where you don't even actually have to die. Out-of-body experiences. OBEs, or astral projection, they're actually a natural part of being a human. Children have them habitually. And if you've ever heard of Robert Monroe or the gateway experience, that was actually created in the 60s. Robert Monroe, he's an author and also a creator of these different trance journeys and a whole curriculum of how to engage in astral projection. With your own volition, upon your own volition. And I actually taught a whole program on this. That
I was just going to say, do we still teach this, Tricia?
We do. Yes. Carson's like, why is she acting like it's only Robert Monroe? Yeah. Yes. I have a program called Astral Mastery, and I'm actually going to be launching that as a live cohort again next year, but it is on demand right now. And
It's
Astral
so
Mastery,
much fun. So much fun.
And
It's one of my favorite things I've
you had
taken.
some of those stages of astral projection when we were going through it, didn't you?
Yeah, and you just like anything, it takes practice, and so if
Mhm.
you're not intending it or thinking about it or practicing it, it will, fade away, which can happen when you are busy, but when I was intending it and thinking about it, yeah, it was starting to happen.
It's so cool. And and you know what? And there's nothing wrong with that because I think we have different ways that we intend to move through this journey anyway. Like sometimes we want to be more grounded and in the body, and other times we want to have astral projections so we can be free of the physical and fly into the non-physical so we can bring it back to the physical. And then maybe some other people like Robert Monroe, like it's just like a constant habit for him because it happened
I
to him
I think
spontaneously.
also some people it's meant to be a process because I know for me, I had to let go of a lot of fear.
Yes.
And I can tell that I am different in how I think about it than when I started. And who knows, when I intended again, it might be all of the healing that I had to go through just personally happened to then excel or accelerate when I step back into it.
Well, and that's you're highlighting something I think is really great is something like astral projection or connecting with your psychic and intuitive abilities in any way. Sometimes we have to clear some fear away. Anytime we shift or change or expand, we often have to move some fear out of the way. And yes, this is what I love about astral projection, which is really only one part. I would say it's about one fourth or one fifth of the part of astral mastery, this program, because we also talk about different kinds of astral communication, like remote viewing, bilocating or dual consciousness. And we also talk about dreams and intuitive dreaming, lucid dreaming, and then also just your size skills in general, all of those things. And this is astral projection seems to be one that really clears away a lot of those fears because you are really just a psychic entity. You are just an entity composed of thoughts and emotions. It isn't slowed down by the body. And so if we can clear away a certain portion of the fearful thoughts and the fearful emotions and trust ourselves because it's so immediate. It is thought and emotion. It is felt. It is state responsive. And that's what near death experiences do because they're out of body experiences. They're astral projections. Now, um, like Robert Monroe, it happened to him spontaneously. And such people who have near death experiences, they don't, I mean, I guess some of those would happen by maybe a suicide attempt, but usually the ones that you hear, the people didn't intend to die so that they could have an out of body experience. So that's kind of like a when you're not aware of how that's going to happen, you haven't been planning it and practicing it so that you can clear away the fears. There are still fears, right? Now,
Mhm.
Robert Monroe discusses it. He was really afraid. Like his journey, I mean, he's a brave soul to come down into this incarnated experience and clearly have the signature, the energetic signature that he was spontaneously moving out of his body in the 60s and he has no one to talk to about it.
It's crazy. It's a cool what's the book called? Can you remember? It's fun to hear him talk about his experiences.
Oh my gosh. It's so funny that, of course, since you asked, my open head and nosh, and I'm just like, nope. Since you asked, I don't know.
Well, my defined head national also don't know. So you guys have Google. It's
He has
2025.
beyond the body, beyond the physical, or it's Robert Monroe. He has at least 3 books. I've read 3 books. So, anyway, I'm gonna talk now about my own OBEs, out of body experiences. They did happen well, the first 2 I'm gonna talk about, they happened spontaneously. I wasn't initiating an astral projection. Then the subsequent after the first 1 and 2, those are ones that I did initiate. So the first one that I'm gonna talk about is actually I've had 2 experiences where I die. Now, the main one I'm gonna talk about is really interesting. I'm using the word die in quotes because clearly I didn't die. I'm here. And I didn't die in the sense my physical body didn't die, but my astral body, my consciousness beyond my body had the full death experience. Now, the first one I had laid down to take a nap, and then suddenly I was on a bus.
Mm.
And I was out of my body. This wasn't a dream. There's a big difference between dreaming and astral projection. There's even a big difference between lucid dreaming and astral projection or an out of body experience. So this was me actually on a bus. And I mean, I knew that I wasn't, I actually, no, I didn't know that I wasn't physical. Because sometimes when you have an astral projection, you don't even ask that you're not physical because it has everything included in it. You have to kind of test it to see if you're, physical or not. So this was before I had started an initiatory practice of astral projection. So this happened spontaneously. All of a sudden, I was on a bus. And I did have some amnesia about my life. And this happens sometimes with people who have near-death experiences. Sometimes when they go to the other side, like Eben Alexander, who has the book that's amazing, Proof of the
Of
Afterlife.
heaven. Proof of heaven, I think.
Proof of Heaven. Thank you. Yeah, thank you. Forget it. I'm only remembering the names of people that I admire, not their works. Yeah, he had a near-death experience. His body died. His brain functionally died. And he didn't remember who he was while he was in heaven, So anyway, I didn't remember who I was. I wasn't questioning who I was. I remember very clearly what it felt like, because that's the other thing about astral projections or OBEs. They feel like they just happened. They feel like it happened yesterday or this morning. I have Alia with me, everyone, in case you're hearing little bird chirps. That's my little parakeet. She loves to come to the podcast with us. So in this astral projection OBE, I lay down to take a nap, and suddenly I was on a bus. We were riding along, and I remember very clearly what I was wearing. It was almost like I kind of looked like like a nun. What do they call them? A novice, before they've actually taken their vows. That's what I felt like. I had like this little book bag. It was very small. It had just a few books in it. And I was probably about 32. And otherwise, I kind of felt like myself. If I were to look in the mirror, I think I would have seen myself, but there were no mirrors on the bus. I just remember sitting on the bus, looking down and seeing my black dress, and it was kind of that really firm, almost burlap-y kind of thick material. And it went all the way down to my ankles. And I was looking out the window, and we were driving around a mountain, kind of like the side of a mountain that went off into the ocean. And so then suddenly we did go off into the ocean, and we're plummeting down, and it hits the water, and I kind of jump up, but I hit the ceiling. But when I did that, I got really peaceful, and I was speaking to, I guess, my guides or spirit or angels or all of the above. And everything got really silent. And I said, okay, this is happening. Is it possible for me to have this experience without physical and emotional pain? And I heard, but it's more like a telepathic, resounding affirmation, just absolutely, yes. And then it was just like, and then I calmed, and I sat on the seat. I was now on the seat again as we're sitting in the bus. And it was like a countdown. It wasn't literally a countdown, but it felt like a black bar coming down over my consciousness. And it was like 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, and then I was back in my body.
So crazy.
Yeah. But that really did a lot because here's the thing. I don't know for sure that I'm going to have a pain-free death. I don't know that for sure, but I know I have the experience that it's an option. And now I don't even think about it.
I've heard you tell this story before, and I think about you anytime. I have some fear of flying. So anytime I'm like scared that it's going to go down, I'm like, maybe I don't have to experience. Maybe I'll just be really peaceful. And I just remind myself of this OBE you have just to calm myself down.
Yeah.
Because it's not the fear of death. It's the fear of pain. It's the fear of fear.
Yeah.
I have fear of fear.
Yeah.
I don't want to be scared. But if I'm like, oh, if I'm going to be at peace and it's going to be fine, like, okay.
Right. No, absolutely. And you're splenic. So the splenic authority, which is the fear center. Yeah. So you're like, how much of this fear do I have to experience? Yeah.
So question, with astral travel, with this specific experience, I know we can do many things with it. Were you visiting a parallel reality, a past life, a future life, or just an experience that your soul at this point wanted to have that could be possible, but like you were just experiencing it in this OBE? How would you describe what was going on?
I mean, I've never tried to define it. It's like those details didn't matter. It feels like a couple of the things you said there seem like, yeah, that could have been it, or yeah, that could have been it. You know what I mean? Like it was a parallel reality. Maybe it is one of my parallel lives, meaning like this person actually lives somewhere
Mm,
and we are dispatched from the same oversoul, and that is the life that is the death that she had.
mm,
Maybe it's a past life. I mean, it was not that long ago because there was bus transportation.
yeah.
Other than that, I was wearing really kind of like very simple clothing, so I don't know, you know what I mean? I didn't like think I had a cell phone next to me or anything like that. The books were tied up, so I didn't see what the books were.
Mhm.
I assumed they were religious books because it seemed like I was a, you know, an initiate. And maybe it wasn't Catholic either. I don't even know if I was Catholic. It just felt like that. You know what I mean? It felt like an initiate, and I was wearing a simple kind of a dress. So, I mean, I didn't dive too much into the identity of that person because it doesn't feel like that's the point, you
Right.
know? Those parts of the crystal, if I get into those parts of the crystal of the experience and that life just seemed like they're illusions and distractions. So, I've let it be simple, you know?
And for people not familiar with astral travel, do you have the ability to do all of those things I just mentioned within an OBE?
Sure. What were all the things again? You said parallel life, you said
Parallel
past life.
life, past life, just wanting a different experience,
Mhm,
visiting some other area, saying, I want to experience this now or go here
mhm.
now
Yeah,
as myself.
you can visit the dark side of the moon. You can visit the pyramids. I have visited inner Earth and truly like, well, you've heard some of my other ones. Like, there's actually a video, one of the podcasts, there's a video on a podcast where I talk about getting surgery from ETs on my hands. But it felt like it was happening to my physical hands, but except that it didn't, it was intense, but it wasn't physical because I was non-physical, but the intensity was there. So I asked them to not let me experience the intensity. So they blipped
Mhm.
me out while they were doing the surgery and blipped me back in. So yeah, you can, anything you can imagine, you can experience, and you can experience it in your astral form. And your astral form is, again, it's everything except your physical body, but it seems physical as well. You're gonna talk to them for a second because I did it again. My battery ran
I
out.
was
I
going to
don't know
say,
why.
deja vu, or did this exact same thing happen last time?
No, there's like, I think I use these rechargeable batteries, and I think there's a set that I need to go ahead and discharge all the way. So talk to them for a second about something. I'll be right back. 2 seconds.
Oh my goodness. So this headband I got for my daughter because I thought it was really cute and wanted her to have something that I would wear if she didn't want to wear it. So this is my only Halloweeny thing. But in terms of astral travel, Tricia does teach this astral mastery class, and it is so much fun. And now that she's back, I'm dying to hear because I've heard the bus story, but when she was
Uh-huh.
talking about experiencing the different stages that you go through, which is what I love about reading NDEs,
Mhm.
is that it's like I talked to a client about this once when she was like, how do you know if it's real? And I'm like, everyone has such a similar, of course, there's a varied, but like, you can't make this up. This process that people describe going through that is so similar. Um, and it's always very comforting for me to read. Oh, thank you, Tracy. Tracy said my headband was cute. It's got pumpkins on it.
Little pumpkins on it. Well, you know what's so interesting is that we seem to mystify non-physical when physical is freaking mysterious. So, Carson, how similar are our lives and how dissimilar are our lives? You know what I mean? Did you
Very
grow
and very.
yeah, between exactly. You between ages 0 to, I don't know, probably 13, you grew to your full height, right? And then me too. But my height is this height and your height is that height. You see what I mean?
Mhm.
And another example of that is I think I sent to you on Instagram, there is this I think it's in India, this woman who teaches intuition to school children. And so she's
Yes, it's so good.
isn't it
Everyone
so rad?
watch this. Yeah.
I'd find it and maybe put the profile. It's like the intuition process. You can find it on Instagram. And so she's teaching these kids how to meditate and to tap into their inner sight. And so then everybody's wearing these blindfolds. These little kids are probably like 8. And then she draws on the board or on a piece of paper, a tree. And the tree, maybe it looks like it's kind of like rounded edges. It's like a very, simple tree. And all of the kids with the blindfolds on, every single one of them draw a tree that's similar to hers. But some of them draw one that's about 1 inch tall. Some draw a tree that's like 5 inches tall. Some are fatter or wider. Some are using a black pen. Some use a green pen. So they're all drawing the same thing, but in their own way and in their own interpretation. That's what those near-death experiences like. So again, it's a near-death experience or the afterlife experience. They have a lot of similarities and they have a lot of distinctions because it's still going to be yours. I mean, doesn't that make sense? Isn't that really grounded? It's like, why are they the same and why are they different? Because they're individual and also it's human. So are you looking for the intuition process?
Yeah, we send a lot of videos back and forth. I'm just scrolling through these and I was like,
Yeah.
I'm not going to be able to find
That's
this. I
okay,
think
yeah.
she's talking to me right now. I should look up. So we'll put it in when we find it later.
Yeah, we'll find it later. Yeah. So you were saying though, your friend, a friend or something, like, how do you know it's real? Right? Doesn't that
Yeah.
make sense that why some
Yeah.
of them are similar and then also some
Yeah.
people go like, I didn't have a tunnel. I was just suddenly there. And some people say it wasn't really like a tunnel. It was more like this or,
Totally.
Mhm.
Yeah.
So that's the first one is that well, I've had two experiences where I died and I didn't or I almost died, I guess. Or maybe I died. When I died, I went back to my physical body. Maybe I had astral projected into the life of a parallel, incarnation. So anyway, the next one that was really great, again, helped to remove my fears of dying, not even death, but of dying, right? So then another one was when I actually just I astral projected and I was walking out of the ocean. And I was like in my mid 30s, I think. Now, I was absolutely myself, but I didn't once again I had amnesia. I didn't remember my life at all. The reason I know I was absolutely myself was because I walked to my house and I remembered my neighbors, but I did not remember my husband or my animals. I didn't remember my family. And I know the reason why my consciousness did that was so I could be a part of the experience. Because what remains for me is that I don't know if I'll ever totally lose this, is my resistance or kind of fear of if I were to die now, is leaving behind my husband and my animals. You know what I mean? Like the pain they'll experience, or what do I have everything sorted out for my for my departure? Those kinds of things too, those practical things. But anyway, so I was walking out of the ocean and I was standing there and there were people like moving around and I saw my body. I saw them carrying off my body. And I was like, "Oh, I am gone. I am dead." And I was like, "Okay, well that's fine." And I was kinda, like, walking around a little bit, and I was like, "I think the light is supposed to come. When do I see the light?" And I'm walking around, and I walk up to people, and they're, like, just doing their own thing, and I don't know how much time passed. It felt like a long time, even though if I run the scene, it wasn't long. It just felt long because I felt very alone because I couldn't connect with anyone. And I wasn't sad. I was just, again, I knew the light was supposed to come. And so I thought, well, this is really lonely. And I don't know why I haven't seen the light yet. I'll go over to my neighbor's house. And so I went over to my neighbor's house and I walked in the kitchen and I noticed I walked right through the side door. I didn't open the door. I just walked in and they were hanging out in the kitchen and they were talking and they couldn't see me. And I was like, well, that's really sad. I'll go into her backyard. I can talk to her dogs and I can maybe even talk to the stones. At least I won't be lonely while I'm waiting for the light to come. And so then I did. I walked out into the backyard and I just sat there for a while and I just talked to her dog a little bit and he could see me. And then the next thing I know was just in my body again. And I was like, oh my God, that just happened. And remembered everything. Now that's experience coming back in, like even the previous one where I went, because I thought I was dying. I just felt like kind of I was just jarred. Like my nervous system was stimulated by coming back together and from the experience that was really extreme. This one, when I was in the almost afterlife, I mean, I didn't have a body anymore. I just felt like a little sad. I just felt sad and lonely and grateful at the same time because I was like, oh, I mean, I haven't died. I remember my family. And I felt this sadness because I felt the empathy of whenever someone is in the inter-between and they haven't crossed over yet. And what do you do?
And you did say last week that you have so much compassion for
Yeah.
discarnates.
Yeah.
So my question was going to be, how did you feel after that? Because I would be like, oh my, what the F what just happened?
I
It
just
would
felt
feel so jarring, but just sad a little.
I felt melancholic. I felt like
Mhm.
melancholy. I felt like I had a sad mood over myself and also grateful because I was like, "Oh, wait, I'm not alone. I actually I'm still alive and I have such a rich life." Now, again, if I stand back from it, it was like probably if it see, the thing is it wasn't physical reality, and so there isn't true time even in the fourth dimension.
Uh-huh.
But if it was probably it was like a few hours if I were to be able to put it into physical reality time, but it felt really long, maybe because I didn't have a body, so it was hard for me to feel time and how to live, and even just like a precise moment of being alone and lonely. That's what it felt like.
Did you say this was a nap too, or how did this one come about?
Uh, this one this one was like yeah, it was like one of those napitations I call
I was
them,
going
like
to be like, was it
yeah.
napitating?
Yeah, yeah.
Your
So
word.
I was meditating, and then I wasn't sure if I fell asleep or if I was just, like, in deep, deep delta, or maybe it's
Mhm.
both, you know what I mean? But because when I came up when I have those, when I go into deep delta and by the way, those napitations, like, this is what was my little word for it, because sometimes, like, I need a nap, but I'm gonna meditate into a nap, but then I'm not sure if I actually sleep, but I do go into delta. But sometimes I go into a deep delta meditation, which is, not just a state akin to sleep, it is, like, it is sleep, like, your body goes to sleep.
Mhm.
But I've done those sometimes I do those sitting up. So I know I don't actually fall asleep because my head isn't one of those heads that can, like, just lean to the side and be asleep. I've got, like, this weird neck.
One of those heads.
Yeah, one of those heads that just will knock me out. But I've
Were
done
you
it sitting up, and then I'll be in those deep
At this
states.
point, were you already exploring OBE? So you're like, okay, that was
Mm-mm,
normal. No.
mm-mm, nope.
So after something like this happens, are you like, why? Why did I see that? What was that for? Or do you just have a sense of healing and you don't feel the need to figure out the why? Or yeah, what like goes through you? Because I'd be like, why did that just happen?
Well, it was a rich experience. I mean, I could feel the why. I could feel the benefit of it. I mean,
You could
when we
feel the
say
why.
why, sometimes people ask why because they're like, "Why did someone do this? Why did God do this to me?" And I know that's not what you mean, but I
Mhm.
wanna address that anyway. And so then the why, because we have sovereignty, I don't really need to ask why because I can feel the benefit. Even though there's, like, this melancholy, I'm having a major déjà vu right now, like like, did we already talk about this? Seriously? I don't know what's happening, but I feel like the matrix just broke on me or something. Anyway, so, yeah, I could feel the why. I could feel the benefit. Even better than why did this happen to me is what is the benefit of this having happened, and how did my soul, higher self choose
Yeah.
this?
I know that feeling, and that's what I was
Yeah.
curious about. Like if you
Mhm.
were jarred and been like, "Oh, wait, what, why?" Or if it was
Mhm.
just like, "Whoa, okay, yeah."
Yeah. Yeah, I love even though again, like, there was this feeling of loneliness, and it wasn't despair though because I knew that the light was coming, and so there
Yeah.
wasn't any despair. It was just like, "Well, okay, now what?" It just felt kinda sad and lonely,
And you
and I
didn't get to experience the light coming in this one. You left
mm-mm,
before that happened.
no,
Mm.
So so far as that is concerned, I've seen a lot of those from the side of being the medium. And then the ones that I've had where I'm on the other side, I either astral project directly to the other side, but there are times when I astral project and I'm in the transition. So I've never had it to where I go like, I'm
From one to the
dying,
other.
I'm dead. Here comes the light. Achoo, you know what I mean? Like I've had these segments of everything, it seems like. Or I don't know, not everything. That's a ridiculous thing to say, but
Quick question before we go into that.
Mhm.
You said 32 twice. You have talked about that you have certain exit points throughout your life
Oh,
and that
yeah.
you reviewed them at one point. Was one a 32? Like, why does that like is that significant at all to you, or just it feels like a estimate that you just
It
came
was
up with your brain?
an estimate. The second one, I think I was more 35 or 36. But, that's a great
Was
subject.
it an exit point for you? Do you know? No,
Yeah,
it
I
wasn't.
mean, not the ones that I've reviewed. So, what Carson
Mhm.
is referring to here is the concept that in our pre-life planning, we kinda go, "Alright, there are gonna be some things on my journey." I mean, we have free will and everything, and we're gonna evolve at different paces. We're going to make choices and everything. But we can also see kind of the trajectory. And we go, well, probably I'm going to put in times to really consider whether I'm going to exit at these different stages, because there's going to be a lot that it culminates on the journey, no matter what choices I make. You know what I mean? Like just from the trajectory of getting into this business. So when I learned about that, I was like, oh, that feels right. When are mine? And I just like tapped in for a second, and it was 27, 48, 92. I said 32 because it was 27 was the first one. And when I looked back, I was like, super factual there. Like that was, I mean, first of all, I was right. My Saturn return was a little earlier. Like I started my Saturn return. I can't remember if I was late 26 or early 27,
Because
years
that's
old.
literally when it was in the chart, or because you have such a crazy pre-shadow?
No, literally when it's in the
Okay.
chart. Yeah, literally in my chart. I think my Saturn return happened at 27. I'm not really sure. At any rate, it could have been the pre-shadow, or it could have been like right at it was definitely in the range of my Saturn return, so far as that is concerned. However, it was also just the stuff that was going on. I made a major I like basically started over my whole life at 27, and was very much like that version of the afterlife where I didn't know anyone. I didn't have any connections. I didn't have any friends. I didn't have any family. I didn't have, and I was scared and unhealed.
Is
It
this when
was
you left the
terrified.
cult of one that you talk about?
Yeah,
Which I actually don't
exactly.
know a lot about, but I remember. Okay.
Yes.
Which, when
Yes.
you're in a cult, you are cut off from people. So it would make sense that.
Yeah. It's a cult of two. What she's referring to is in my 20s, I was in this relationship with big quotation marks around that, where it was, I had a relationship with a narcissist who isolated me. Yeah, that's a story for another creepy day. But
Sounds good,
and it was all,
Halloweeny.
yeah, exactly. I was a girl. I wasn't in a box like they have a lot of movies and TV shows. I wasn't in a box literally, but I didn't have a car, and I wasn't allowed to get a car. And it's really weird. Anytime I speak about that time, my husband goes, allowed, as if anyone could allow or disallow anything of you. And
Oh
I'm like,
my
I know
God.
that's what I lived like. I worked, and I was allowed to work, but I had to put on a certain, just like they do in cults, you had to like tell a certain story so that you could protect the life that you were in. Anyway, protect yourself from being talked out of it.
I
So,
want an episode on this. I haven't heard this story. So for the
okay.
future, file it
Yeah,
away.
sure, sure. And how did I get into that? Because I had extreme child abuse growing up as a child and all that kind of stuff. So, I mean, it had started when I was like 19 or almost 20. I can't remember if it was right before I was 20 or right at 20. Anyway, so yeah, 27, I had walked away from everything that I knew. And right before I did that, I thought, well, it's just time for me to die. I didn't want to die, and I wasn't going to be violent against myself, but I knew I couldn't continue the way I was.
Mm.
And so the way I was, it was like had this kind of captor, not really, because I
Part of
could.
you did die.
Yeah, and I was like, one of us has to die because I'm dying, like inside. My identity was dying. And so anyway, that happened at 27. 48 is when I started my Chiron return, which I didn't know when I first reviewed that exit point. So I don't know. 92 is my next one, maybe. I don't know. Who knows? Maybe it's not. Maybe it's before. Maybe it's after. Maybe you don't know how the life is going to unfold.
Right.
I
Cool.
didn't want to die when I was 48, but I did start a big upheaval, one of those cycles. So
Yeah.
it's really interesting. So 27 Saturn return, 48 Chiron return. Yeah. 92. Is that my second Saturn? No, might be my
I thought
third.
something scary did happen to you at 48. I thought we said
Well,
once, like, you were like, oh, that, yeah, right?
well, my business partnership fell apart.
Mm.
Hmm. Yeah. So some big stuff happened. Yeah. Also, that was around the time that I was like, okay, definitely not having children. I mean, 48, of course, but we definitely knew it for sure. And anyway, so but I have still the third one, the third incident of being able to clear the fear of death by astral projection, or
Yes, tell
OBE.
us. Tell us.
Just, I mean, there's so many. It's like, which one do I even pick? Well, actually, when my father died, I actually astral projected in order to facilitate him. And this is, I guess, yeah, this is why this is a good one, because it's almost like the next place of it. So my dad died. He died in Texas. This was in 2015. And I was in California when he was dying. And so he actually had a stroke and he was unconscious for, I don't remember how long, a week or something. And while I was telepathically communicating with him and telling him, hey, if you need anything, I will help you. And this one day when I was telling him that, he was out of his body. And he probably because of the drugs, probably because his body was also, deteriorating. And he was like, okay, baby Tricia, you're my little angel. And I was like, yeah, my dad's from Texas. Sorry, it's hard to yes, his telepathy has a Texas accent. And he was like, yeah, you're my little angel. And I was like, okay, daddy, I'll be your angel. Sure. And and it was the next day I went into meditation and he was boom in my room. Again, it's like when someone astral projects to you, it feels like, I mean, do I see them with my physical eyes? No, but I almost do. You know what I mean? Like, it's
Wow.
so real.
Cool.
I feel like anyone else would be able to feel or sense or whatever. So he was there and he was freaking the fuck out because he couldn't get back into his body.
Mm.
And so I was like, okay, hold on. And I put up a wall of light around him because because his freak out had activated my nervous system. And I was like, just hang on. And so I put up a wall of light and then I, excused him while I astral projected, like, well, I meditated deeply first and then I moved out of body. And I just met him on a plane and just talked to him. And he was like, talking about his fear of going to hell and all of that kind of stuff, just freaking out. And I said, Daddy, did your mom and dad come? And he's like, yeah, mama has been around. And I was like, okay, that's real. Nanny is what I called her. Nanny is ready to take you to the other side. And he was like, just couldn't handle that. And I said, look, Daddy, your life created this life. I kind of just said, look, almost like scoreboard, Daddy. And I'm not saying I'm the best person ever, but that would bring a parent to some sobriety. Like, they love their child. So, okay, my life did something good. And that's what I was appealing to, was just his love for me. And I said, everybody receives healing. And I just explained to him, everybody receives healing. Everybody. And I said, I said, okay. And the light came and we can see it. We can feel it. And I said, okay, Daddy, follow me. And I turned with my back to the light and him looking at me. I said, just look into my eyes. Just look into my eyes. And he was like, like if you're afraid of skydiving, but you're going to skydive, like kind of deal, like, okay, we're going to do it. And you had to do it. And I was like, and I backed in and I was like, okay, Daddy. Okay, ready? Now keep looking at me. And we rotated, 180 degrees, so that his back was to it. And I was like, okay, keep going. And he backed in and he just went into the light.
Wow. That's a
And then
wild story.
everything just went like, it's this weird thing. It was like starry crystal. It all went all around me. And then it was I was going back into body. And then there was like this void. It was like a layer of void of black, quiet as you could ever imagine. Fortunately, I was just there because it could drive you crazy, maybe.
Yeah.
And then I was in my body and then I just stayed there for a second, breathing and praying. And then a text came through from a friend who was a medium, which timestamped it for me. And then 3 minutes later, my sister called me and I said, Daddy just crossed over. And she said, that's why I'm calling you. I felt that. But his body was still physically being kept alive by machines. So there's one experience of transitioning.
Would you say you went into the light with him or you just saw the light?
No, I just went to the threshold of it.
And so experienced like the edge of anything.
It wasn't my light to go into. So in case anyone's wondering, like, what if you accidentally got sucked in? You have your own light. You know what I mean? It's calibrated for you. It's your own Akashic light, precisely fractalized. Like, you can't accidentally fall into someone else's light.
Would you say, okay, so you talked about him being out of his body probably because he was on drugs. And then earlier you mentioned kids do it a lot. And is it, so for kids, they're just not as attached to the physical form. 100%. Same with drugs. You're not as attached to your body. Would you say a lot of people's psychedelic experiences sometimes could be them starting to see the astral, starting to see parallel realities, starting to experience and being out of body.
100%. And maybe they do go out of body, but you can also see all of the astral even while you're in your body. You know what I mean? And that's what intuitive sensing, non-physical sight is about. It's different layers of it, maybe. And I think, yeah, psychedelics or plant medicines really open up those channels even more.
And you can use it intentionally, which would be good. But I would imagine people that are using it too much might start losing touch with the physical. And
well, you know, it's interesting about those plant medicines. If you used psilocybin a lot, it would stop being as effective on you. It would stop so that's why people don't do it. It's not even, I mean, yeah, I guess you can kind of get addicted, but it actually starts to lose its effect. And ayahuasca, you know, again, you couldn't do that daily, you know, just you couldn't. And I think it loses their effect. I mean, I'm not an expert on that, but that's what I've heard. There's almost like the plant itself has coded in it that it doesn't, you know, it just won't do that. Yeah. You could become ungrounded in a lot of other ways. We become ungrounded by our stress and our anxiety. You know what I mean? Like there's a lot of things that make us ungrounded.
Yeah.
Kids, yes, exactly. Kids are not as tethered to their body, especially before age 8. Yeah. What did the feeling at the edge of his light feel like? I mean, it felt clear, which doesn't sound very exciting, but it felt clear. That's what it felt like. It felt clear. It felt open. It felt like, if you can imagine like when you get a nice cool breeze with like the ocean breeze, and you go, ah, and it just feels nourishing and clear and life filled. It kind of felt like that. And I'm still not even doing it justice. But I was also really focused on him. I was mostly like really focused on him, but it just felt clear. And I don't know. It's so hard to, there's no words, right? It felt like crystalline light, but really, really, it wasn't expanded either because it felt focused, because it was focused on him. I'm sorry, I'm doing a terrible job. That's a great question. I'll see if I can go in and put some words to it, because it's
I mean, what if there are no
ineffable.
words because it's not a human experience?
Yeah, maybe that's why it's just clear is the only thing I can say.
Yeah. And it's like when you try and translate anything that's coming in that just doesn't quite have the words here, because
there might be some words. I just have to like sit with it a little more. So thanks for that, Kate. That's a question from Kate, who's with us live. So yeah, so then other ones about being on the other side. I mean, there's so many different versions of that. Okay, I'm going to tell one of my favorite ones where I was in a place. I actually visit here a lot. There, the sand is like turquoise, and then there are trees that are like the actual, like the foliage part of it, there'll be different colors, like pink and violet and everything. And they look like trees, but they also look like light. And it seems really natural. It doesn't seem like an AI generated or even an animated thing. It feels, well, I guess supernatural, right? It feels highly natural. And when I've been there, that's just the one place that I'm describing right now. Like the water is alive in the sense that it is, and I'm able to experience it as an entity, as it is, but it is just as much an entity as one of the, you know, humanoid looking beings, or the angels, or the orbs, or, you know, everything has its full and complete sense to it, of you being able to connect with it. And yeah, mainly the thing that helps to clear the fears, though, are those things that I think of dying, of transitioning, just being on the other side. You know, I think we can all feel heaven in our heart, right? It's just love, and it's beauty. There's another thing. It's love, yes, but beauty. And any connection, any one or thing that you come into contact with, it's like, it's soul nourishing. It's complete and unique, if that makes any sense. Kind of a paradox, because if something's complete, then it's everything, but then it's also unique.
Yeah.
If you connect with the living water, or with the grandfather, Was he my real grandfather? I don't know. I've never met my real grandfather. He feels like grandfather, things like that.
When
Then
you visited this
Mhm.
turquoise sand place, was that, did you have an intention before you went there? How did
No,
this come?
no,
No?
it just unfolds. Yeah. But it feels like the inside of like, uh, how everyone's NDE is different.
Mhm.
Oh, you know what? I've been lately to a few different artist exhibitions or like fairs where there's a lot of artists like in these different like little cubicles. And it's so funny. I told my husband, I told Brian, I was like, every single one, I'm like, everyone looks like they are their art. You know what I mean? Like they're dressed like their art. They have their hair is like their art. You know what I mean? Like it's their insides just pushed out. And so that's what it feels like, looks like there too. It feels like it's my insides pushed out.
That's amazing, which is why there's turquoise.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Well, anyway, so that is some death stuff. And yes, the key takeaways here is that, there is so much to experience. Anything you can imagine, you can have a true experience of it, and not merely fantasy, not merely like when we read a book or watch a movie. And not that that's even mere. That's a beautiful and deep and rich and important experience in our lives. But these journeys that I'm referring to, these are available to us. They're natural for us, and they can happen without crisis and without devastation. And I really feel that it is something that we all can have as a part of our life so that we can live our lives to the fullest, because that's what it has helped me with so far, and I hope to experience even more of them. And I've had some that were so overwhelming that it was like, okay, let's chill out on that. That was wonderful, thank you, soul, but we need to put a pause on that. I need to just walk around and like eat a cookie now. Because they're that significant and that powerful. So they do remind us of the awareness that just existence is continuous, and that peace is and the completion and the understanding, it is in our eternal nature, and we have our eternal nature with us right now. So do you have any other thoughts or questions about this, Carson?
No, I'm ready to hit the slate when you are.
Let's hit the slate. Let's talk about the cosmic weather for this week. We are currently in October of the late October. We're almost at Halloween. And what is so fascinating about how these cycles and seasons work is that there is no mistaking any of it. The astrological season all indicates the themes that we're all interested in. In the previous episode of Charmed Life, someone asked, "Why do you think we have this connection to death and transition and everything around Halloween? Why did we put this there?" Well, think about it. At least in the northern hemisphere, the landscape, foliage, trees, everything is actually in a dematerialization or a death and dying process. And so, of course, that is the sense that we're picking up. Now, from the below, we have the as above. So this is as above, so below. And we are in this week around Halloween, or Samhain, as it is in the Celtic and my ancestral culture. We are in the I Ching, or the human design sun gate of gate 28, which is the game player, and it's going to transition to gate 44 late Thursday, right before Halloween. So gate 28, leading up to this, the game player has this, or the preponderance of the great. What this is all about is the energy of confronting meaning in the face of mortality. What? That's what this actual sun gate is like. Before we knew anything about what gate 28 and human design or the I Ching and how it plotted the sun, this is what we all agreed upon. So the energy of confronting meaning in the face of mortality, it invites us to have the courage to live fully, to find purpose in uncertainty. Purpose in uncertainty, that is almost paradoxical. It's like superpositioning, and superpositioning means that you are in two places at once. You have two realities at once. You are the positive and negative energy creating a big bang. It's a collective focus on depth, on risk, and on existential themes. And this is perfectly aligned with this late October and the thinning of the veil that we all feel, right? Needing to face uncertainty, needing to face our illusion of mortality. Now, the challenge here with this gate 28 is the fear of meaninglessness versus the joy of fully engaging with life's mystery. That's what gate 28 is all about. Like I said, we're going to be in this gate, this sun gate, until about late Thursday in my time zone. And we've been in it for about a week. These sun gates are 6 to 8 days. So that's gate 28. Then right before Halloween, gate 44 kicks in, and this one is coming to meet. That's what the hexagram name of it is. And it begins, I guess it begins October 31st. I think it begins between Thursday evening and Friday morning, depending on where you are. So this is an energetic shift toward ancestral awareness, intuition, and recognition of patterns from the past. Right, all super aligned with the Dia de los Muertos, as it's called in the Latin culture, about inviting your ancestors so that you can honor them and you can move forward the karmic cycles. It's the sense of meeting the unseen, including that ancestral memory and any karmic cycles that you are advancing and completing and learning from. And what, by the way, I want to say that the last 3 gates, including 44, 28, and the ones just prior, which I think was 23. I forget the numbers sometimes. I remember the themes, but I forget the numbers. They're all in the spleen center of the body graph of human design. And the spleen center is the oldest, most primal awareness center. And it is the center of fear, which can be also healthy fear, like the fear of confronting the unseen or the unknown, confronting meaninglessness so that you can have meaning and purpose. These are the energies to lean into at this time. It's a beautiful, rich time. It encourages discernment. It's the time to welcome forward what we release. It's symbolically the gathering of spirits energy. And this can be the spirits of, the out there, but also the spirits of within. This is calling us into the place to reconcile, to find the fears that are ready. They want to be taken out. So with the 2 of these connecting the 2, we have gate 28 facing mortality, and then gate 44 meeting our ancestors. And they form this continuum of the fear of death to the communion with our lineage and our existential moving forward. And this is this week's cosmological weather. It's inviting us to have courage. Remember, courage, the root word for courage, the root of the syllables C-O-U-R is heart. This means the action from the heart. Remembrance. Remembrance means to bring back members of your person, members of your ancestral line, members of what you have learned, whether it is in this incarnation or a previous or in a future one, to bring your remembrance back into form. Remember who you are and to reconnect, to allow you to live fully, passionately, fluidly with purpose, while also honoring the unseen that walks beside us, that forges the path before us, because the unseen is here to also honor us and to help us. And yes, we do have to sometimes clear our fears of that which is unseen, that which is ahead, or even that which is in the past that we feel we can't see anymore. That's what this season is about. These are the energies. I encourage you to lean into them, do extra journaling, have some kind of a ritual. And to that end, I actually have a beautiful ritual experience happening in Modern Mystic Life. If you're listening to this anytime around this season, on October 30th at 4 p.m. Pacific, we have a Samhain celebration and also Ancestral Ascension. There's going to be journeying. We're going to have a ritual where you're encouraged to bring a candle, a stone, and an herb, and it's going to be amazing. And if you're listening to this sometime outside of that, check the description anyway, because Modern Mystic Life, we have 2 live meetings every month and a huge catalog of meditations and esoteric workshops at your disposal on demand right now. Carson, what do you think about all of this? Isn't it amazing?
Just gonna ask about Thursday. Is it any herb, any candle, any crystal? What you're drawn to?
Absolutely. I think that that's what's important. And I did a ritual yesterday, and I was drawn to oregano and bay leaf, and that's what I had for my ritual yesterday. Yeah.
Second question, in case anyone is like me, where I'm like, oh, I have gate 28 and 44. Is it similar to when we go through different astrology? Like if you're a Virgo and
Mhm.
it's whatever, we're going to feel it differently than someone who does it is in a different sign. Do we feel it differently if we are open or defined in a certain gate, when that gate comes in?
I think it's a kind of yes and, right?
Mm.
I think if you do have an activation there, meaning that that gate is defined in your body graph, that you're going to have a special relationship with it, a sort of tenderness. You know, I have gate 19, 3 different placements in my chart, and I feel it. I feel it a very strong. I feel it very viscerally. And then, you know, your sun gate, which is the gate of your birthday, you know. So of course we all feel that, right? And it's not just because you celebrate your birthday, you feel it, right? You feel that energy when you're in that time. So yeah, you'll have a connection to it that's different, but everything, what the gene keys are and what the gates of human design are, they mirror our actual our genome, the human genome. And so it basically is like epigenetics shows us that it's how we respond to our genealogical code. It isn't that you do have this gene or you don't have that gene. We can activate, deactivate, respond, you know what I mean? And yet there are strong preponderances to the ones that are those defined or activated ones too. So yeah. Yeah, does that make sense?
Very. And I would imagine if you don't have that affinity to it, maybe it feels actually extra intense because it's not an
Mm,
energy you're used to feeling all the time. And you're like, oh,
yeah.
I'm going to delve into this. This feels different. And so you're like turned on. And so each
Mm,
way, it's like,
exactly. Yeah. You might feel more magnetized to it because you want to taste it because
hmm,
it's not something that's always just a part of you. Yeah, absolutely. So, yeah, that's what's happening this week. So, get in there and do some, like I said, journaling, lean into some ritual, and have fun and be someone else. That's the other thing that's really cool about our traditions here, right? Let's try it. Let's try our shadow side out and let's try and embrace it. So,
love it.
happy Halloween and happy Samhain. Run the slate. And now it's time for Mundane Magic. We're going to talk about something that has happened in our lives that seemed to just happen as a mundane thing. But if you're paying attention, and that's exactly what my husband said to me this morning about the one that I was going to share, you'll find that even in the mundane, everything is magical. Did you have anything, Carson? Did you identify something?
Because as soon as you start to pay attention, you're like, oh, right, it's there
Mhm.
all of the time. And then you'll forget, and something might come in and like pull you back in. So I'd forgotten about it for a couple of days. I was like, and then something happened. I was like, oh, right, right, right. My daughter's watching the something, I don't even know what it was, in the back. And I just had the urge to say to her as I'm pulling in, do you want me to beep the horn? Do you want me to go beep, beep, beep? So I go beep, beep, beep. And then the video goes beep, beep, beep. And I was like, oh, right. Oh, right. I'm supposed to be paying attention to this stuff. And it pulled me in. And I was like, right. I'd asked for a red ball. And then the video goes red. And then
Whoa.
and then I was like, okay, right, I have to pay attention. And then after that, like for the next 2 days, it was like ones and threes will come to me. I see all numbers, but that's my like, hey, we're talking specifically to you,
Mhm,
whatever combination of it is, just like you're in alignment, whatever, you're
mhm.
taken care of. Even to the point that like I had a client, one of my container clients, send me a voice note and she was like, I don't know why that was 13 minutes. And I was like, I do. I know why it was 13 minutes. And I've been going like through some behavior stuff with my older child that has felt hard, but even like in that, I'll like hang up with the phone call, it'll be 311 or whatever, a
Mm,
voice note I will send about it will be that. And so
yeah.
by just paying attention to it again, even though it's just boring stuff, I'm like, oh, right, I
Yes.
feel better, I feel supported, and I'm noticing it more because I've decided to notice it.
Just shows you that you are awake and you are synchronized,
Mhm.
and and you're paying attention. Everything everything is magic, you know what I mean? That's why this podcast is called Charmed Life, not because it's like, "I have a charmed life." It's life is a magic. It is a work of magic. It's a work of art, and it's a work of magic. That's really cool. I love that. I love the beep, beep, beep.
Yeah, I was like, whoa, whoa, right, 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 right.
Oh, amazing.
Just when you're like, oh, Matrix, oh, nothing like this is everything is great. It's magical. Tell
Yeah.
us yours.
Well, yesterday was the anniversary of the graduation of my beloved Barnabas, my kitty. He's the most wonderful, magical, beautiful being that anyone could ever meet. And he passed October 28th, 2024. And boy, being in the portal of it has been, you really do trace different things. And again, look at this. He's a black cat. And I'm like, oh my gosh, Barnabas, you
Oh my
decided to
God,
pass Halloween
right.
week. Yeah.
Oh my goodness.
Solid black. And he's named Barnabas. He's named after a vampire. Like the first week, within the first few days of meeting him, we knew that he was this special spirit. And Barnabas is Barnabas Collins from the story Dark Shadows. It's kind of like it's a similar story to a lot of other vampire stories where it's like he's a vampire, but he falls in love with a human. So he has to suppress his murderous tendencies to be in love. And Barnabas is just, he was so athletic and he was so like capable, but he always held back and he like, you could really feel him wanting to take care and nurture. Anyway, so
Mm.
my wonderful, wonderful little guy. And so yesterday I worked and I thought about him the whole time, and the whole week and maybe even 2 weeks leading up to it, I feel it's like the sun going back over that same groove, like the same groove in a record. And there were little things that it was time to process again. Oh, I remember the morning of it. And when I knew it was the day and all the different things. And Brian and my husband and I were talking about it. So I worked, and then it was like time to do a real honoring. So I went out in the backyard where he is buried and I did a ritual. And I cried and connected with him, and oh my gosh, he advanced me in my heart. And so, gosh, that's a whole story for another time. And he was there with me the whole time. So then the day's ending, and I did some crying too, and my husband and I did some story sharing, and we looked at videos and pictures, and we hugged and cried. And then I spent some time with my kitty Delilah in her bedroom pulling some runes because she was feeling a little anxious, probably because of that. It felt like because she missed brother too, because I was feeling him so much. And so then I went to bed, and my husband had already fallen asleep, but he turned on a Big Bang Theory. We fall asleep to these old sitcoms. And I settled into bed, and I was starting to watch it, starting to get sleepy. And all of a sudden, Sheldon says, "Why are you so upset? You did the puzzles better than any of the other chimpanzees." And Amy goes, "Yeah, except for Barnabas, because he was on Adderall." And those are the lines of the storyline. She literally said, "Except for." And I was like, "Oh my God." I videoed it. I have a timestamp of it. It was 10:25 p.m. Oh my gosh. And the funny thing about it too is it was the name of a monkey called Barnabas. And we called him a spider monkey all the time. And his meow sounded like a little capuchin monkey or a little chimp, because he go like, that's how he meowed. Falsetto thing. Oh my gosh, it was so amazing. And my husband was already asleep. So I told him this morning, and I played the video of it for him, and he like immediately his eyes welled up and he was like,
Aw.
he goes, he just finds a way to tell you he's here on his day. And he goes, that's so crazy. And he's like, or maybe it's not. We just aren't always paying attention. That's just how
Yeah.
it is. And the precision of it, though, I could have gone to bed 10 minutes earlier. I probably would have fallen asleep. 10 minutes later, I would have missed the video, the playback doing that exact thing. No, again, how love is moving us into the exact right positions all the time. That's even the beep, 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 or the mention, like the name Barnabas. Come on.
Yeah.
If it was the name Susan, I would have taken it. You know what I mean? Like a more common name, but it was Barnabas. Oh, so that's my mundane magic. Not so mundane after all, right?
Well, not at all, but, yeah. I
Yeah.
like what Brian said. It's there all the time, and sometimes you just need something to, like,
Yeah.
wake you up.
Yeah, absolutely. All right. Well, that's what we have for you. We went a little long this time. Thank you so much for tuning in. Be sure to check the show notes for different programs that you could join. Modern Mystic, my multidimensional mediumship program. Carson's booking link is right in there. Please get that projector, intuitive spiritual coaching, hypnotherapy into your life. You need a projector. Carson is available for clients, and I have courses and also clients like my Akashic record session, my animal communication. That's what we have for you in this episode today. Thank you so much for tuning in. Thanks for shining your light on our beautiful world. And thanks for tuning in. I love you, whoever you are.